Hello and welcome back to the Lee Summit Town Hall podcast. I'm your host, Nick Parker. Back with me for the first time in months, my co-host, Jason Norbury.
I know, it's like twice in a week.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
It's a little weird.
That's all right.
I don't really count last week as a real return because that was a bonus episode.
This is old school recording in the studio. Or doing a thing.
It's a thing. This episode is brought to you by the good people at Budget Blinds of Lee Summit, a great local family running a great local business. They are your home for enlightened style shades. They're also, Jason, our
robot shade overloads.
There you remember. If you want to control your blinds,
all hail,
with your phone, your smart speaker, all those fancy dancy things, you can do it.
You know, I've come more and more, like, I find myself, like, initially trying to, like, rigid old man who doesn't like new technology at a certain point, but, like, I find myself creeping slowly towards these things as I get an automation. I really enjoy it.
It's called assimilation.
I think I might like those robot shades if we got those.
It's assimilation. Eventually, we all give in to the robots. Yep. If you're ready to make your home a smart home, go see our friends at Budget Blinds. Tell them Nick sent you. Our guest today, episode 883, Jason. We've been doing this 10 years.
I'm pretty sure you can't actually count that high, but we're going to go with it.
Well, it's a good thing because if I can't, we've got people from the Summit R-7 school district here, so they can learn me the maths. And I can count that high.
Those who can't do teach, those who can't teach administrate. So I don't know. I'm not going to trust these guys' math.
Wow. Welcome back to the show, Dr. David Buck, Superintendent at Lee Summit.
Thanks for having me.
And his first time in the studio, I should move the spotlight over him to shine. Dr. Chad Hertzog, Assistant Superintendent for the district.
Thanks for having me as well.
I appreciate it. Are there more things to Assistant Superintendent? Are you Assistant Superintendent of something?
I am. So I am the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. We have 5 different Assistant Superintendents in Lee Summit.
This is the first time I think I've interviewed Chad since he was wearing uniforms while an athlete at Lee Summit High School.
Well, currently, not that we have this one on video, he is wearing a uniform of sorts.
He is.
But he is
in a suit and tie. Dr. Buck,
tie.
No. So I think one respects us more than the other.
That's fair. Probably Dr. Buck, honestly. No, it's not, he does. He knows us, so he didn't feel the need for
he's like, yeah, those yahoos, I'm not wearing a tie.
Not wearing a tie for those guys.
All right, here's why we're here. And I think this is important. We have been talking a lot about the upcoming election. April 7th is election day. We focused a lot on candidates at the newspaper, but we have not really talked much about the ballot issue that is on the lone ballot issue on this municipal election. It is Proposition C for the district. And here's why I really want you guys there. How can we put this into terms that dum-dums like me can really understand? Like, I think I get it, but I tried to explain it to my 19-year-old son over the weekend, and I really was doing a poor job of it. So, Dr. Buck, I'm going to start with you. We'll ease Chad in. Dr. Buck, can you kind of just give us a brief explanation of what this really means? What are we asking voters to decide?
You bet. So in 1982, legislators created Prop C, and it's a 1-cent sales tax that goes into a state pot and gets divvied out by per kid. So it doesn't matter where the sales tax is spent here in Lee Summit or Little Chamois, Missouri, or down in Kennett, Missouri. It all goes in one pot and gets distributed by kid. When they did that, they said half of what you receive, you have to roll back your property tax to that amount that would collect that amount. And then they gave districts a chance to, if you can ask your voters, you can waive that rollback. So 91% of the school districts in Missouri, 471 of the 518, have a full waiver. The 46 that do not, some have a partial waiver, which Lee Summit does. We passed it in 2008. And some do not have one at all. Blue Springs is the only one in the Kansas City Metro who is impacted by it. And there's some out of the 46 that they don't care because, for example, Kansas City, Missouri, their tax rate is set by a 2007 court case. So it doesn't impact them. So they're one of the 46. So there's only 3 in the entire Kansas City Metro that do not have it. It's Lee Summit, Blue Springs, and Kansas City, Missouri, and it has no impact in Kansas City, Missouri.
So really what this is an ability to access all of the money available without evening it out through a rollback of taxes.
Correct. We have a voter-approved ceiling, and it gets changed by Hancock. But every year, Dr. Hertzog gets to do a calculation where we roll back that for the portion we don't have waived for Prop C rollback. And this last year, it was a little over 12 cents.
I like that you brought math back in with Dr. Hertzog there.
I can count to 800.
I like that you stay on topic.
Delegating the math to the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. That seems fair.
So Why is it important for the district? Why is this important that you're trying to talk to people into voting yes? Why do you think it's important to do this?
Well, we're in a people growing people business, right? So we need staff, all kinds of staff. We have over 1,300 teachers, over 1,200 support staff, and about over 100 professional staff and 100 administrators. Right. So it takes 2,800 employees to educate nearly 18,000 students when you count our pre-K as well, and our early childhood special education. We drive 10,000 miles of buses every day. We served, I just did the stat the other day as a trivia question, served over 52,000 pounds of potatoes in our lunchrooms, over 1.9 million meals last year.
That is a good stat.
We are a very large operation, but it's all based on people. So 80 to 85% of our budget annually is on people, salary and benefits. And our beginning teacher salary, for example, has dropped to 13th out of 22 in the metro. Because other districts have made moves. They've raised the tax levy. Like Park Hill, they were ranked 15th last year. They're ranked first this year. They did a large, I think it was over 50-cent tax rate increase. You've seen a lot of the local districts do that as well. And so we're falling behind, and we know that we need good people to help educate our kids.
All right, so Dr. Hertzog, why don't we talk a little bit about the impact of this, or what people would anticipate when they're talking about it? Because I think a lot of times people are like, nobody wants to pay more taxes as it is, but I think having an idea of what they're paying versus what we're talking about getting is a good conversation to have. So start with this. What's the impact of, if this passes, what is that going to do to Jason's property tax bill?
That's a great question. So the difficulty in explaining Prop C typically is that there's not a set number every year. Dr. Buck mentioned 12 cents this past year. That could change next year, so the rollback number is different. But if we use this year's tax number, okay, so this year's tax rate, if we increase it 12.5 cents, that'd be about $24 annually on $100,000 of property. So if you have a $300,000 home, if Jackson County assesses that for $300,000.
Have you been reading my thing? Because that's not far from where my fight is currently. But that's neither here nor there.
There's a lot of people. So if Jackson County assessed your home at $300,000, this Prop C, if we didn't have the rollback, would increase your taxes about $72 a year. So about $6 a month is what that would increase the tax bill for an individual on their property. But the resulting impact is over $4 million of revenue to LSR-7 to use for our people, for salaries and for benefits.
Okay. So I guess I'll follow that up with this question. So if this passes and we go through this process, what is it that, like, in a year or 2 years or something in the fairly near future, that like a person in the district, one of your constituents, can look at to say, okay, they've done the thing they said they're going to do, right? The ballot question, does the ballot question specifically target this money to salaries, or does it just have to do with the tax rollback itself?
It's so, lawyers say you can't take away a future vote from the board, so
Right.
It says, including salary and benefits, but that's what's going to be for. So we're putting it out this next week to our staff and everybody else, showing what it would be. But if this passes on April 7th, we will have a special board meeting on April 9th, 2 days later, to approve those salary schedules. And
Okay, so then somebody can come back in and look in the appropriate quantity of time by the time the next budget's done and say, okay, the floor has been lifted here, these raises have happened here, and they're going to be able to find that information and see what they're getting for the tax dollars.
That's correct. So we have multiple groups involved with this, right? So we have Citizen Advisory Committee and Business Roundtable who discussed this in 22, maybe putting it on a ballot in 23. The decision was to push it off to 25. Then 25, 100%, let's do it. 100%, it should be all for salaries and benefits. And it was a split vote. Do we do it in 25 with the bond issue, or do we do it in 26 not being with the bond issue? And so the board made a decision, let's do it in 26. They passed a resolution, and here we are. Team Lee Summit, then, we have a group that represents all the different employee groups throughout the district. They're voted in by their peers, and they've been collaborating how to spend this $4 million. And so they have that recommendation, and that's what will go forward then to the board to be voted on April 9th, assuming this passes.
Awesome.
How much of that is, and we've been asking at candidates this question as well, and I think it's still relevant here, as we look ahead to the future growth, the continued growth of Lee Summit, how much of that is prepping for, you said almost 20,000 students, which is 18,000, I think was the number you used. That's probably going to just keep growing. If we look at the projected numbers at the city, how much of this preps for having enough teachers and staff and faculty to be able to handle that increase? Or is this really just about now?
No, it's about now and the future, because if you look back, 10 years ago, we rarely hired somebody straight out of college. Now that's not the case. The pool is shrinking. And if you talk to districts who are farther east of us, they're hiring teachers and hiring people to be teachers and helping them get their certification and really coaching them up. We are not to that point because of our competitive salaries and benefits we offer. We have incredible benefits, and we're a destination district. We want to keep that advantage. So that way we continue to be able to hire quality folks. So that way all of our children have great people taking care of them in the nurse's office, great people taking care of them when they're teaching math, great people taking care of them when they're riding a bus.
Why is that pool shrinking? Why is it that now you're looking at, you're looking more at right out of college, but are those numbers the same?
So to me, I think we're seeing, and we're taking this on, you're seeing people not encouraging kids to go into education. So we have changed that. So we have a Grow Your Own program that's been fantastic. I think we've hired 8 this year to be teachers for us next year out of our Grow Your Own program. We are not only supporting them through high school, but we're supporting them also when they go through college. We have a mentor with them all the way through college. We're guaranteeing them 60 hours of work so they can have some exposure. We're guaranteeing them student teaching, and then they got to compete still to win the job. But so then we have had 8 of them come through. So we have the largest Grow Your Own teacher program in the state of Missouri or Kansas.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. I think sometimes we always, you don't know how to react with you keep bringing back your own, and then some people don't like that as well.
Well, and I think that there's a lot of stuff in there, and I know that's a problem that a lot of industries are having, is how do we retain these young people that we grow in the district and they go away to college and then they don't come back, or they come back and they don't come back to Lee Summit or something in nature. So I think that's a really good program. Is that trending upward, or you guys have sort of a cap system? Or, how is that going, or where's the goal? Where do you want to get to?
So we have 22 students a year that get accepted in program as they enter their freshman year in college.
Okay.
But we have a lot more students in that involved in the Grow Your Own, or the Teacher Academy, if you will, over Summit Tech Academy. And that's existed for a long time. This was created 4 years ago. And so now we have 4 cohorts in college. And so it's been a fantastic program, absolutely fantastic program. And the reason that student teaching piece is important, because at Lee Summit, if you go back 15 years ago, didn't do a lot of student teaching. Most staff, or most hires when they come out of college, are within a certain driving distance of where they student taught, where they take their first job. And really the number one spot is where they student taught. So,
right.
So it's important for us to have the exposure, because it's a free look for us. It's also a way for us to help them grow. And what we're finding from our students, they come do PD every year, even when they're in college, with our staff during their winter break. We find they're way ahead of anybody else coming out of college. So they're much more trained and ready to go for us.
Is that specifically working with different universities, or do you have agreements, or is that really more of an agreement with the student no matter where they go?
It's an agreement with the student. Vast majority going to UCM, but not all of them are going to UCM. We have them going actually all over the nation.
I think I veered off a little bit from the prop
No,
seat,
that's
but
fine.
I get really curious about those programs.
I was going to reel us back, so
Okay.
we're doing good. I've been interested in that program. My son's he's in his final years at UCM, but I don't know if he wants to teach or not. That's a whole separate thing. But his girlfriend is a teacher and has been going through all of those processes. Not here in Lee Summit, but so I've been interested in just follow through that whole thing. But that's really fascinating. Okay, I'm going to bring us back to the actual election question, Nick. And do that. All right. So one of the things I think you hear a lot of times is our property taxes are too high, right? But we pay too much in property taxes. La da 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 da. I know nobody in this room has ever heard that complaint before. How does Lee Summit's R-7's tax levy compare? Dr. Hertzog, I'll go to you for this one. To the comparing to other districts in the metropolitan area.
That's a great question. So, our tax rate for 2025 is just below $4.74 per $100 of assessed value. The highest in the Jackson County area is $6.32 over in Raytown. We are actually the lowest. We have the lowest tax rate of any school district in Jackson County. If you actually expand that out and compare us to school districts like us in the metro, because there are some like us, North Kansas City, Park Hill, Liberty, who are outside of Jackson County. We have the lowest tax rate of all of those districts as well.
So we're 12th out of 12 districts in the county, and we're 6 out of 6 districts that are bigger than 10,000 or more. So we have the lowest tax rate around.
All right. So basically, what I'm saying is you guys are doing a good job with your bargain. We're getting a bargain here.
And if you have the same house here or Liberty, you're going to pay a lot more in property taxes in Liberty for the exact same house.
That's right.
I'm going to try to channel listeners, and especially I like the angry listeners.
I don't even want to talk to you right now, Nick.
No, I think what I've heard from people, and I don't know the answer to this question. What does that mean going forward? Right? Does this mean that we're not going to ask for levy in a while, or levy increases in a while? Does that? I mean, because we're talking about preparing for the future and looking at growth.
So here's what I can tell you: the near future. If this was in place this year, if we had a full waiver, instead of 12th out of 12th, we would have been 10th out of 12th. We would have been between Oak Grove and Lone Jack. Lone Jack would have been a little higher. Oak Grove would have been a little lower. And that's what we're asking. Like, shouldn't we at least be as good as Oak Grove and Lone Jack and what we're providing here? So,
wow, there's a loaded question. Wow. Oak Grove slander time. Let's do it.
No, I think
they're doing a fine job.
We've hired teachers from those districts. They're great. So, but we need to provide just like they're providing, right?
Right.
So I'm not asking. We're not going to be Raytown at $6.30. We are not going to be there. But we probably don't need to be 12th out of 12.
Fair enough. And would that still leave you 6 out of 6 of the big districts? My mathing says yes, but at this year's rate, I mean, well, because all things shift.
It would still leave us 6th, I believe. We'd still be below Blue Springs, I think, is the one ahead of us.
I'm just impressed as I watched you stare up and do the math in your head.
Like I said, I'm staring at the graph, and I didn't trust my actual math. Okay. So I just wanted to say that.
Nick, you asked a question earlier of Dr. Hertzog about what's this mean to you as a taxpayer. You might ask him a question: Is it guarantee your bill's going to go up? Because there's some exceptions and some pretty significant exceptions going up where it will not have an impact.
I like it when he gives me the leading questions.
No, that's fine. Nick, ask this question of Dr. Hertzog. Would you do that, please?
Does that mean mine are going to go up?
Everybody's tax bill is different. I can't tell you if your tax bill is going to go up or not.
That feels like you were fed that answer from an attorney.
Oh, it's the truth. It absolutely is the truth. Now, the tax rate, I already mentioned the tax rate. The tax rate would increase. But an individual situation is based on the assessed value of their property. If you own personal property, if that value goes down, then that bill could go down as well. If you buy new personal property and you have increased value, that could go up also, even above what it would have been before. If you're 62 and over, Jackson County has a tax freeze that you can apply for, where your property bill is frozen if you're 62 and over. So even if this were to be approved in April, those folks that have an approved waiver would not get an increase at all. Jackson County is also talking about doing tax credits from 23 and 24 assessments. If those are in play, then there would be a lot of folks who would not see a tax bill increase even with this Prop C. It depends on your situation. It's really hard to give a universal answer of will my tax bill go up.
So kind of put perspective in that. So this would create $4 more of revenue, $4 million more of revenue for us. Those tax credits over the next 3 years is over $9 million of tax credits that we will not be getting. So just kind of point out that the tax credits are a huge player. So if you had a house that was assessed at a greater than 15% increase in 23, you very well could see your bill go down even with this tax rate increase.
Let's talk a little bit about perspective, because 2,800 faculty and staff, right?
Correct. Largest employer in town. The next one is Homeland Security at 2,200, and after that, St. Luke's at 1,900.
18,000-ish students.
Just shy of 18,000 when you count our pre-K.
How far does $4 million stretch? In perspective, what does that bucket of money do for you?
So I don't want to get ahead of our communication because we're getting ready to do that with staff, but it's almost $1,000 onto the base for teachers and percent raise to all other staff members.
Okay, that's a good premature answer without being official, without communicating with your staff. So
I appreciate that from a lawyer.
We'll approve it. Yeah. All right. So what else we got?
Well, let's just one more time, because I feel like I know I've danced around, and I do that. I apologize. But I want to come back one more time to kind of just a simplified, what are we asking one more time? What are we asking voters to look at and decide?
We're asking voters to waive the required rollback that we have over Prop C. 91% of school districts, or 471, have done that. We said we're 13th in teacher pay. The 12 above us, all but Kansas City, Missouri, have the full waiver. Kansas City, Missouri, it doesn't impact them because the court case decides their tax rate, so there's no impact. We are getting impacted where it's almost like starting a race behind the starting line, that everyone else is at the starting line. We're behind it.
All right. Well, I have one more thing.
Okay.
So I think we've talked a little bit about this, about individual tax burdens, like what's it going to do to my house, what's it going to do, this sort of thing, and then we've talked about levy rates and comparative and what have you. But realistically, the school district isn't about like an individual's thing. This is a collective. In a lot of ways, this is a very collective thing. Can one of you talk to a little bit about that, about like what we're talking about, while I asked earlier about metrics, like we can talk about like, $1,000 base rate increase and perspective and all those things. But what is this going to mean for the district, for our community, if they approve this change?
So we're the people growing people business, and our community gets to decide how our district works and serves our community. And this is another chance for the community to decide. For me, we have the lowest teacher turnover year in and year out throughout the entire metro. We want to keep that. We want to keep our quality staff members in all of our positions that we have, our RNs, our bus drivers, our cooks. We want to keep all of our amazing teachers, and we want to lower the turnover. So when I see now, we'll have for example, we had before this school year started, we had a 15-year veteran who chose Raytown over us because they were going to get paid $4,000 more. That doesn't feel, we want to win. We want the best staff member every single time. And then when we want to get them, we want to make sure they want to stay here. And we've been very successful in that, but our neighbors have all made some significant moves in salaries recently. And this is a chance to bridge that gap some. We're not going to catch them, but we're going to bridge that gap some to take money off the table as a conversation piece. Instead, make it about we're a destination district. Of course, you want to be here.
All right.
It's not as easy to just say Weirdly Summit, come to us anymore.
I would say that is true because young people are more willing. I mean, I'm not going to talk about our ages here, but our age, people tend to go somewhere and stay. Young people are more willing to take their feet and move somewhere else in this generation. It's a stereotype, I understand, but it's also very true. We're seeing people willing to go for a move just to get a salary raise. And so that is a new thing for us. We still have a very veteran staff. In fact, our average year of teaching experience is higher now than it was a decade ago. It's over 16 years. We have teachers that have been teaching as long as 42 years. We have a very veteran staff. But we also know that young people are willing to move for money at more than my generation or generations before me.
This is a little bit of a shift again, but we've talked a lot about today about you raising that starting salary for new teachers. You talked about just now with the veteran heavy. What's that balance? What are you looking for in a district, especially a district this size? Like, what are you looking for about having new teachers and veteran teachers? And is there a balance there?
So Team Lee Summit takes into account, and I'll let Dr. Hertzog explain how this works, but if there's a almost $1,000 to a teacher base, if I'm year 20, I'm going to get more than $1,000 raise, and I'll let Dr. Hertzog explain that.
Yeah, if we raise the teacher base by $1,000, after the percent increase is over 30 years of a career, you're talking about potentially in the $4,000 or $5,000 range increases, but potentially if you get high enough in the schedule. So those raises for those individuals at the beginning are important because they do flow through the schedule and they allow us to continue to be competitive at the end. We have to raise that beginning salary because we want to draw in the future educators in LSR-7 who are going to impact our community for 25, 30 years from now. Eventually, folks like myself are going to retire very soon, and we're going to be gone.
Very optimistic of you, by the way.
Yeah.
Well,
I like that you're sitting next to your boss. You're like, yeah, I'm going to retire soon, dude.
We all are going to. I know how long I've been here in the district, and I know how long others have been too. We're not going to be around.
I won't
forever.
say that my wife is counting down.
Definitely not counting down. Just realistic in terms of where my age is at right now. But the balance is we've got to ensure the future of our school district, and that's by attracting the best people possible at all age groups across the entire schedule, the new teachers all the way to the veterans.
I think one thing, or I like the answer, but one thing I was going is not an exact number, but I mean, do you look at it like, look, I'd like to bring in this many new teachers every couple of years or whatever? Like, is there a balance of new and veteran that you're looking for to keep a district this size at the level it is?
I want the best hire every single time. If that's someone who has been here and they're applying for a new position within the district, or it's somebody from out, that doesn't matter to us. We want the best person because we're trying to move forward and be value added.
Yeah,
I felt like I set myself up for that answer.
Yeah, you did, and he did an excellent job of judoing you right through the process. So.
I said that.
I was lucky enough to serve as a high school principal in this district for 6 years, and that is so true. You get people who apply who have been doing this for 20 years. You also get a brand new teacher. Who the best person is for that position is who you hire. It doesn't matter how long they've been doing it or how little. The best person for kids is who you're always looking for.
Look, I don't want to ever be a teacher. I don't have that kind of patience or skill or brains, but being a principal at a high school,
it's a lot of hurting.
That sounds like a lot of pain.
Yeah.
It is a great job. We have great schools here, and it's great to serve this community in any role. Yeah.
I'm going to edit that.
All right.
I think that'll wrap us up. Dr. Buck, Dr. Hertzog, thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks for explaining it for dum-dums like us, and just in case there's some others who have trouble understanding that language too. I think this was helpful.
I hope everyone votes April 7th, regardless of how you're going to vote. That's what democracy needs. We need us to vote. So.
Absolutely love it. Well, thank you. That'll wrap us up for this episode. We'll talk to everybody next time.